Next story is something on a stunning find. Is this you, Rebecca?
Yeah, this is actually really interesting. I had to throw this in at the end. I'd seen it a couple times. I thought, you know what, this is worth talking about. So we're always struggling to find women in the scriptures that women can relate to, right? Christian women can relate to. Struggling to find women mentioned in the Book of Mormon, even in the D&C, right? They're just not there. And it's really important that they be there because, women need somebody as a role model, somebody to pattern their life after. So here's a case where a BYU professor, associate professor, has found something incredible. He thinks a stunning find: meet the missing woman in the Bible rediscovered by a BYU researcher. This is a woman who's been in the Bible under our noses the entire time. So basically, it says Lincoln Blumel, associate professor in the Department of Ancient Scripture at BYU, argues that the recipient of the New Testament letter known as 2 John. Are you guys familiar with this book? 2 John? John?
Yeah, the second epistle of John, yes.
This is what we're talking about. Do you know who, as far as you know, who was that sent to? Do you remember it all?
Well, I think this is where section 25 about Emma Smith is riffing off of when it calls her an elect lady.
Yes, this is why this is really important. It was sent to an elect lady. But no, according to this professor, this is not true. It is not simply an abstract elect lady. It is a real woman named Electa.
Because it would be spelled the same in Greek?
Because there were some duplicate letters that would make it the elect lady or an elect lady. I'm dumbing it down, way down. And it was just mistranslated forever. But it actually is an actual person named, it would be elect A with an E on it, but Electa. So it goes on
Carmen Electa?
Yeah, exactly. Carmen Electa. That's it. It goes on to say the manuscript corruption in early Greek copies the phrase to the elect lady. Okay. That means it's just copied over and over incorrectly. To the elect lady was thought to be generic, but Blumel claims 2 Greek letters were accidentally dropped in the transmission or the translation from, and there you see some of the Greek writing. I am not going to read that, to the elect lady, making it to electe, the later lady, if that makes sense. So it's very close, but he's saying it's a proper name. It's not just characteristics of a person. And that's a huge difference. These pictures here I have are from 100 AD Roman women. So this would be the era because that epistle was 85, 100. So it also goes on to say, if
Does he
correct,
have any manuscript evidence to support this theory?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot, and you'll have to look through it. You'll have to look up articles on it. I'm just, like I said, kind of dumbing it down, giving you just the gist of it, but there is actual evidence. I'm reading through it, and it'll be really interesting to see if it's peer reviewed. So it says, if correct, it means that Electa is the only woman named as a primary recipient of a New Testament letter. This is a big deal, a significant revision to how scholars understand the text. It was written to an actual person, not just a general person. It also goes on to say the article also suggests that Electa may have held a position of authority in the early Christian church. The female master of the house, it looks like, is what she was called in the letter, meaning that she was, she was somebody of some power and some stature, and that's given the letter's address and tone. So I find this absolutely fascinating. We can list the names of the women in the Bible on one hand. Well, not one hand, 2 hands, Book of Mormon, 1 hand, D&C, I think there's 2. So I feel if this really pans out, here's my prediction. Electa tops Christian baby girl names in 2026. And I didn't make a slide about it, but maybe temple names. You know what I mean? We can get rid of Eunice and we can add Electa. This is a biblical name of an actual woman. Now, I did start thinking about how women are looking for role models, like I said before, and churches are trying to fulfill this, right? Yeah. They're trying to kind of promote what little they do have and make it into something. So have you guys ever heard of Thecla?
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking about Thecla. Sorry, I'm trying to get back to my slide here.
Autobaptism.
Huh?
Autobaptism. She baptized
Self-baptism,
herself.
that's right. She was, sorry, I'm getting back to my slide here. She was an actual badass, if I can say that on the air. And hold on one second here. There we go. Paul and Thecla. It was a Gnostic gospel, right? It refers to the Acts of Paul and Thecla, and a apocryphal and non-canonical Christian text from the 2nd century, which tells the story of Apostle Paul's impact on a young woman named Thecla. Inspired by Paul's teachings on chastity, she renounced her fiance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've had enough of you. I'm going to do what Paul says. And she moves on from him. She survives martyrdom in that she was going to be, I think, burned at the stake, and a giant rainstorm came up. She was going to be eaten by wild beasts, and she was able to tame them. And self-baptism, there was no one to baptize.
A vat of wild seals, and then like a bunch of light eels, electric eels, zapped them all.
Yep.
That's
it's
not
very
exactly,
dramatic.
For some reason, I remember it that way.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, the Gnostic Gospels. I mean, if we were doing Come Follow Me on those, good heavens, a lot of us would go back to church. Anyway, she self-baptized herself because there was nobody to do it, and she became a preacher. Her story, of course, was later removed from the Bible, but the text was widely popular in the early church. So I'm thinking, if you have Electa, you have this powerful Roman woman who Paul thinks enough of to write an epistle to. Maybe Thecla is going to make a comeback. Maybe that could be a new baby name in the Christian world. Maybe twins, Thecla and Electa. I can't even say that like that, but
you know something is funny, Rebecca? Rebecca, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Maybe I should call you Rethecla, because I think we combined our stories. The seals event is this. In the legend, Thecla is thrown into a pit filled with savage seals to be killed.
Yes.
The miraculous intervention is that before the seals can harm her, a large rain cloud appears and a lightning strike kills them all, allowing her to survive.
Yeah. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's pretty exciting. And what kind of a role model is that, right? She's a warrior princess almost. So I feel like maybe she could make a comeback with Electa. And here is some insider information that I have hot off the
Electa
presses.
and Thecla appearing
Electa and Thecla
on the stage.
And Rebecca Bibliotheca. Thecla. I feel like I'm talking with a lisp.
It's
anyway,
like
this is kind of interesting.
Santa Maria.
So I have heard through the grapevine that a group of sermons by our very own Eliza R. Snow, Smith Young, it will never be released under those two last names, right? They try to keep that under wraps. They don't want to draw attention to that. But these are going to be released onto the, gospel library. Wouldn't that be interesting?
And again, they don't have to give the women the priesthood, they'll do anything.
That's exactly right. So they're just like pulling teeth, trying to find these women of authority and power, somebody that Paul wrote an epistle to, sermons from Eliza R. Snow. Let's make Thecla great again, just to give women something so they lose interest in Heavenly Mother, I think maybe. But anyway, it's kind of interesting.
Especially.
Exactly. So I encourage everybody to go look this up about Electa, because it's pretty interesting. And of course, there's a lot more details, a lot more scholarship behind it. But if this is true, we can add another name. And we have so few. It's kind of exciting.
I am always impressed that there's always new scholarship to be done and new things or lost things to be found. So thank you very much, Rebecca.